Okay guys, so as you can see, she's no longer smoking. Strange things with this one. What I'm about to say, I apologize I didn't take you guys with. I didn't find the editing app until after everything was done. This has been weeks, you know. Of course, I have a regular job, so I don't, can't work on this stuff every day, mainly on the weekends. And quite honestly, I was thinking about quitting YouTube altogether, stop filming, because my channel just wasn't coming together the way I thought it would, and I would have to, do the editing thing to get to where I want to be, because it's really hard. People don't understand. It's when you're just straight filming, like I was doing. I mean, you have to do everything right there while you're shooting, and sure, I can pause and all that stuff, but I can't just stop the video, unless I want other parts, part 1s, 2s, which I've done, of course. But I mean, it's going to be a lot easier to take many clips and put them together and do it that way. Cut out waste of time like me talking, stuff like that. It's just going to make things a lot easier now that I've discovered editing. But now, guys are going to have to give me some time. The last video I put up was my first try, and I don't know why, but when I uploaded it, the sound was all goofy, and I apologize to those that actually watched that video and put up with it. I did take that one down, and I tried it again, and that time it worked. So in that video, I managed to cut out about 4 minutes of just bull crap, and then was able to put some text in there and stuff, so that was kind of cool. But I'm just getting used to it. I might even try some other editing apps to see if they're. The one I'm using now is actually kind of hard to navigate. But that aside, this engine I had to take. Well, let me back up. I'm going to take you down there with the light. So, you guys remember, if you've seen the last video, under this cover was it was about an 1/8 inch of oil and grime and all kinds of stuff, and it was all down inside. It was everywhere. It was literally everywhere, and that's what was burning up in that video. And I pressure washed everything, and then it sat for a week, and it was leaking from this sump gasket over, and just leaking around everything and going right in to behind the muffler and all over the place. And that was just 1 week. Now what I found is that the sump gasket, about a 4-inch piece of it from factory, I'm assuming, unless somebody had this engine out and whatever, had to take it apart for whatever reason and put a new gasket on, is about a 4-inch piece between the sump and the block. It was not even there. It was actually inside the engine. It was like, so there's nothing sealing about 4 inches, and that's what was oozing all over the place. Now what gets me is it had to be doing this from day one of the original owner. I'm sure it came with some sort of warranty. I don't know why he didn't take it in. He had to have noticed it. He had to have. Never took it in to get it fixed, though. Strange. So it did that for whatever, 15 years till I got it. Had to take it out, the engine, and fix that gasket. Sealed up the valve covers, and I mean, the engine checks out. It's in good shape. So I'm going to take you under here. I did These are just on with my finger. These two, so I could start it for you. I did pressure wash under here, as you can see. I'm gonna turn this light off. So it's a lot better now. And I had the carb out and cleaned it up. It was just water in there in the carburetor in that last video, why it was popping. Got some water got in there from me pressure washing it the first time, and then it got in there the second time too after I pressure washed everything else out. So even though I tried to cover it up, still water got in there. So that's the deal on this engine. Now, engine aside, I got under there and noticed, first of all, this machine came with a box of parts, and luckily there was a drive belt in there. Now maybe you can see this drive belt is Shotsky Junko, so replace that. I noticed there was steering parts in the box too, and it needed it. It needed the gear. It's pretty worn out, but not only that part. Like, look at the end over here compared to the center, how sharp they are. So this was just worn out. And somebody had gotten a parts tractor and taken parts off of it. And it actually came with 3 spindles for the mower deck and some other stuff. Clutch. I'm not even sure the clutch works yet, but we'll get to that. I'll get to that later. Doing the deck, and the deck needed, I actually had to buy the deck belt though. I mean, I've seen worse, but it's, you know, it's not the best either. So, and then I walked you around and showed you I did paint it. I mean, you can kind of see where the paint ended and the rust began type thing. You know, it's not, it's not a show car or anything. It's just a lawnmower. But I don't know. Looks pretty good, I think. And also back to the steering, I noticed when I was pushing it around, it felt like this tire was kind of dragging. And if you look real close, you can see it just wasn't right. And oddly enough, this steering arm over here is adjustable, and for some reason they had it extended way out. And so when it was straight, like it is now, like this one would be straight and this one would be cocked out just a little bit. So anyway, I readjusted it back to where it should be, and that's all good now. And I think that is it for this, and then I'll be back to show you. See, right here, I can stop it, the video altogether, and do the next video on my own time, and then pair it up with this one. So this is going to be great, this whole editing thing. That's why people edit, I guess, but hard-headed. Anyway, guys, thanks for joining me. Bye. Sorry, trying to adjust you. So the deck, I'll get you over the top here a little more. Of course, it's missing the paint in most of the spots, and this is why I harp on everybody to keep their decks clean of grass and stuff, because this is what'll happen. You'll lose all the paint on your deck. I've kind of been working on this half over here because I wanted to show you guys kind of what I do. Now, again, This is a mowing deck. If it was something, you know, you wanted to totally restore, there's other ways to go about this: sandblasting, paint stripper, whatever. You take your pick. You know, I'm just going to show you what I do to kind of clean up the deck. Now, I had a couple of bad spindles on here. I left this one on. You guys can see over there. I left this one on because, frankly, I got lucky with these other two. The bolts came right out. I left this one in because it had a bolt snapped on it already. So I just took the pulley off. And this one actually feels really good. These other two have bad bearings in them. Like I said, I got spindles that came with this deck. All three, as a matter of fact. I got 3 of them. So, which is a good thing. And all the idlers, there's 2 other idlers that go here. They're all good. This one's like brand new, but it's like a pressed bolt in there. I thought it would be a carriage bolt, but it's not. It's like a pressed in bolt, and it's I tried to take it off and it just spun it. So there it stays, but this thing's like perfect. So I'm going to take you back this way again. Now, what else was I going to say before I started this? Can't remember now. Oh, this deck, it might look bad with all the rust on it. You know, just rust makes everything look bad. But honest to God, this thing is not in bad shape. There is not one crack. There's not one bend. Every factory weld is still fully solid. There's no stress points on this thing whatsoever. So it's actually in really, really nice shape. Just needs paint, obviously. So, one thing I kind of like to start out with is just taking a torch after it and burning any of that paint that's, you know, it's starting to flake. I pressure washed this and got a lot of it off already, but there's still a bunch. And then he even gets the little air pockets of paint that always come up when you try to do this stuff. Like I said, there's probably easier, well, I know there's easier ways to do this. I don't want to burn the plastic too much. See that big spot there? That was a big air pocket. And that was just a lot of paint just dangling there. Just burn it off. Or if nothing else, get it crispy. You get it crispy, it comes off a lot easier. You see, you get it on the regular paint, it doesn't do much until you find the air pocket. So that's just kind of what I do first. And from there, you know, you got your choices of your old drill with the all the paint's still hot, so it's it's acting like rubber. Once it cools off and dries, and you know, it gets a little crispy. Until you do that, and honestly, you're not going to get in every nook and cranny on this thing. Like I said, we're not restoring it. We're just going to make it look better. You know, it's a lawnmower. I've done this to a lot of them, and they usually turn out really nice. Now, this guy, I like this a lot. It gets heavy and it vibrates a lot, so I will say that. Always wear a face shield when running these things. They will throw these things, the wire. I've had them stab me in the arms and the legs and the knees, in spots I'd rather not mention also. So you gotta protect your face when running one of these, because they're quite violent. Like an implement of death, which is why I like it. Yeehaw! That thing is insane, man. But it does a good job. Does a real good job when you want to get rid of rust and stuff, or flaky paint, whatever. And again, you could go over all this with that wire brush and get rid of most of it. Again, I'm not going to do that. But, and you're going to, you know, well, I got to show you one more thing. Then what I use is, I just use this palm sander and just kind of feather the edges of the paint, go over whatever I can on the deck with it, and it does a good job also. Now, you can use any kind of rust reformer you really want. I have a couple different kinds. I like using this stuff, the paint on stuff, for the decks. I'm not trying to advertise for Permatex or anything. Just happens to be the kind of stuff that I get. You can get this stuff too, which I used on the tractor itself. It just sprays on like a spray can, you know, spray paint, and it works good too. Now with both of these, you do have to allow them quite some time to dry and take effect before you can paint. I like to do it late at night, you know, when I'm ready to go in the house, slather it. Next day I come out and it's all dried and ready to go. I'm going to show you the paint. Again, it's going to be the brush on stuff. It's just the stuff you can get in a can, and I really like it. Goes on heavy, and you know, sometimes it might take a couple coats, but this stuff goes a long, long way. I really like that. And then you can get this stuff, well, let's see, yeah. And I'm not going to do it on this one because it's one I'm selling, but my own tractors, which I'll go over in the Cub GT when I get to it. I paint the bottoms of the deck and clean them up, paint them with this. It just, you know, it will wear away, you know, but it'll stick in the spots where it's not, you know, grass doesn't heavily hit or anything. But every year I usually go over this, and I kind of been doing this for about 3 years now. So mainly on the first cub I owned, I've done that, and then I did the one I sold last year too, the old cub too. So anyway, guys, look, I'm gonna get this going, and then I'll come back when everything's done, the deck, and we can go over everything then. So, all right, guys, thanks for watching. Bye. Okay, guys, we're on the John Deere L120, the spindles for the deck. Now, 2 of the spindles were bad. I mentioned before that this particular tractor came with a box of parts. I guess should have been my first clue at all these things that are wrong with it. So I was thinking I could just take the spindles that came in the box and boop, you know, all be good. Well, they weren't in the greatest shape either. The lower, this being the lower bearing, some don't turn out so good. This is what's left of one. It just completely disintegrated. So I have to kind of take apart some to get good bearings and you know, mix and match type thing. And then I kind of wire wheel them a little bit to clean them up, stuff like that. So I kind of already did these, but just want to show you. Well, let me back up a little bit here. The fallacy of these greasable spindles, you know, you see that grease zerk there, is that it really doesn't get to the bearings. No, this is a bad one here. You put a bearing on there like that, right? Then you got this piece, boom, and then the other bearing, and that's all sitting in there, you know, inside of there. So the grease goes in here, and it can't get, you know, both sides are sealed. Now, I've seen other people on some channels say you can, you know, take the seal out, and then the grease will get to it. If you fill that whole void full of grease, it'll eventually get to it. But this one I found just that way. Somebody took the seal out of the back of it and thought that this thing's totally seized. Will not turn. So there's a lot of debris in there. And that, I think, is the problem. You know, you're dealing with a lot of debris, you know, grass, dirt, whatever can get in there still, you know, little by little, and end up seizing it up like that. So I personally, I wouldn't suggest doing this. You know, if anything, you could do what I do here. Either that, or just, you know, when your bearings go bad, you just replace them and be done with it. Boom. In this case, I'm got my needle greaser out here, and what you can do, like I said, I already kind of did this one, but just stick it in there. I've took this. This doesn't have a rubber seal like this one's got. Kind of a metal seal in it. So just kind of stick it in there till you find a happy spot. Just kind of squeeze some grease in there. Make it all nice and greasy. Now, for these rubber ones, you can take these out too, which isn't a big deal, or you could just do this. Stick it in there like so. Well, that one's not. I've already done this one, so it could be just not accepting anymore. And just start pushing grease in like that. Now I've got grease all over me again. So and these bearings, this bearing is perfect. This bearing is perfect. This is another metal seal on the outside. So this one has one of these deals, and you just kind of push it back in there like so. You can see there's a recess where the bearing will sit. When you're trying to take these out, the bearings that is, like I said, it has this piece in there, and what I do, like say there's a bearing on this side, what I do when I try to push the bearing out the other way is I kind of cock, if you can see that, cock that over to one side. I'm trying to get the light in there. Cock that over to one side. You can take it 7/16, and then I have a press, and you just push it down with the press, and it's all good. So this one, we got our little centerpiece in there, and see, that's the void I'm talking about. You're just filling that void. That's quite a big void to fill full of grease. And then we'll drop our bearing in. Sometimes they have to be pressed back in, which this one might have to be. It went in pretty good, but I think it's still got a little ways to go. So we're just going to kind of have this should only have to go a little bit. You can kind of see right there. What's that? Oh yeah, she's all painted now. Looks good too. I'll show you that in a minute. So I just used an old bearing, that crappy one, and I think it's all the way in there. All right. There we go. All right, we got that. This little dew hummer goes on next. Get a bigger hammer. And yes, I could press this onto. It should just pound right on with a hammer. Let's take a second one. Hell, I'm gonna work that over to the press. Okay, just a little more persuasion got that baby on there. So yeah, she's a nice one. And you just, that top of the shaft is shaped like that. I don't know, is that it's one of the gons, pentagon, octagon, whatever. Pick your gon. Okay. Yeah, buddy. That is nice. So, we got this guy to finish up yet. And, trying to, yeah. Thought I had one that was already cleaned up. Maybe not. This one's probably a little bit better. The bugs are insane right now. It's 10:30 on a Saturday night. And it's getting pretty buggy out here. By the way, this one, I had already done all the greasing to the bearings on this guy. Now I know there's another. Hiding behind the peanut butter blaster. Okay. All right, guys. So there she is, all painted up. Doesn't that look nice? Again, I use the brush on paint, and this is actually 2 coats of the yellow, and before I put the second coat on, I kind of ran the sander around it again. You can see the brush marks, but it's not that bad. You know, it's a mowing deck. Sure looks a lot better than it did, right? So again, hang on. Okay, so I forgot, in order to put these in, I had to take the pulley back off. It's easier to get at the bolts that way. I put this last coat on this morning, so it's still a little, the stuff really needs to sit for a day or two. Of course, all the rust from the bolts is coming off. Oh, I forgot. I put away my socket, thinking I was done with it. I was not. Okay. Oh, this other guy. This other guy. I'll have to put it up like that so I can get to it. Okay. I don't know about that guy. Okay, let's see here. Oh, there it is. Couldn't find my new belt. I suppose I haven't double checked this or anything. I'm gonna see if it's pretty close to the same length as the other one. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. All right. Let's see the just to make sure I got it right. Shows right on the deal that the belt comes in. So, yeah, I gotta stand over where you are. All right, this goes. Let's see if bring it out a little bit. This goes like that. That goes around this filter like that. And like that. Now, see, I'm going to bring you back here a little bit. Now remember, it also, I'm not going to put them on right now, I'm not going to wait till I get it on there. But it has these two, which I painted up all nice. Fresh black paint. So anyway, do something like that. So this might look like, that's just a hole, that's a hole in the deck. So I didn't miss paint there or anything. So there we go. I'm probably going to wrap it up tonight, and I'll get this deck on there tomorrow, and hopefully put it up for sale tomorrow. Alright, see ya. Alright guys, there she is, all done. Looks good from far away, huh? Alright guys, so I bought this John Deere for $125. I figure with new blades, oils and the filters, the paint, I think I've got roughly $100, give or take 10 bucks. Probably give 10 bucks more than take, but so, you know, say we've got $225 or $230, $235 in it, but that's just money wise. Now I mean, this thing took a long time to get here. So the amount of time I have in this thing is ridiculous. Luckily, I'm not counting the time. I usually never do. If I did, I would lose my you-know-what. But, alright guys, this is the end of the John Deere L120. Alright, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Talk to you later. Bye.